slope.
For 34 yards in 1980.
In pro football's passing revolution.
Fantasy football is a way for people who are not gifted with the bodies of football players to partake in their success. For one, when Jimmy Graham scores a touchdown, and he scores a lot of them, I feel like I'm scoring a touchdown, which is the biggest adrenaline rush you can ask for. It's a way for families and friends to come together and have something to talk about and an activity to do and something that it feels good to win. And as always, when you lose, it feels terrible. I hate playing fantasy football. It's the worst thing you could possibly do to yourself because only one person wins a league and there's 9 people who feel terrible because you pour so much time into it and effort into it, and it's more times out of not you're not going to win. It's out of your control, which is the hardest part to understand. Well, winning, it's the most magical thing you can ever dream of. It's bragging rights, it's pride, it's respect, it's knowing that predictions you made 6 months prior came to fruition and worked, and you're the smartest man in the room and the sexiest girl in the bar for a little while. I am a fan of the 49ers. So winning a couple of fantasy leagues the last couple of years has substituted for their close but not close enough. Oh, my particular league is all friends and family. My brother, his wife, my best friend, his sister, my girlfriend. But we're all really competitive. Just because we all love each other doesn't mean that we don't hate each other at the same time. My brother has won the league before, and it was the absolute worst day of, I could say, at least 3 or 4 of our lives, just because we know that, he has the bragging rights, and there's nothing we can say to take that away from him. He was the champion for a little bit, and so those relationships they get strained, and they get pulled, and I've hated my friends and my closest family members for days just because, say Michael Vick rushed for 150 yards in a game, and it's the worst feeling ever. Trash talk does play a lot into the game. We've tried to find ways to implement it into the scoring unsuccessfully, just because we feel like we deserve more for some of the things we do. I've made videos about how much I hate my brother, or videos about how badly my best friend's team has failed and how silly he was for drafting someone like Anquan Bolden in the 2nd round because he's a big Niner fan. We've publicly humiliated each other. We've embarrassed each other at work, at school, anywhere we can. Making your opponent feel as small as you can is just as important as beating them in the game. Fantasy football is something I started doing when I was really young, just because I wanted something to, a reason to watch other games more than anything. I'll watch the Niner game, but I'm also obviously always keeping an eye on all other 16, 15, 14 games going on in the league. There's definitely the bond of making each other feel like terrible people and letting someone know that you hate them or that you respect them for the amazing team that they put together. It makes us all feel a lot closer. We have an unspoken trauma that we've all gone through, and that is losing by fractions of a point or losing by 200 points in 1 week, which is unheard of, but it happens. Someone has a crazy week and you have a terrible week. I know for a fact that the biggest pain my brother's ever gone through was losing in the championship round by 0.06 of a point in our Super Bowl, because Michael Vick got tackled at the 3-yard line and not the 1-yard line. Well, to start your own fantasy football league or to manage a fantasy football league, you need at least, I would say, 10 people would be the minimum to have a respectable league. So you have 10 friends or family. You decide on your scoring system, traditional scoring, 10 points per yard, 6 points per touchdown for rushing and receiving, 4 points per touchdown for quarterback. I guess, what was it? Yeah, the quarterback touchdowns. And then you elect a league commissioner who's a leader, and he collects all the money. He makes the draft date. It's hard to find a time that works for 10 people at once. Everyone's so busy all the time. He decides if you guys are going to play for money, how much money. He handles the money, collects it, gives it to the winners. He decides the scoring system, all that. And then if you're going to do an online draft, it's usually the order is picked randomly, 0 through 10. Most leagues do a snake style draft where you pick 1 through 10, and then the second round would be 10 through 1, and the third round would be 1 through 10, and so on. And at the end of the draft, you have your team, you have your roster. Usually it's 1 quarterback, 2 receivers, 2 running backs, a tight end, and a flex spot where you can play or a running back or a wide receiver. You pick a defense and a kicker. You have like 1 quarterback, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a tight end, a kicker, a defense, and a flex spot where you could put in a running back, a wide receiver, or sometimes a tight end. When a running back, any of them, we'll say Marshawn Lynch, who's a world champion, scores a touchdown, you get 6 points for the touchdown. You get 10 points, or you get 1 point for every 10 yards he ran. You get, and then in some leagues you'll get extra points if he had a huge play, more than 40 yards. In some leagues you get 1 point if he caught the ball. For every time a quarterback throws a touchdown, you get 4 points, and then 1 point for every 25 yards he throws. And then the matchups are usually randomized, so you are head to head versus one person every week. So it'll be me versus my girlfriend some weeks, or me versus my brother some weeks, or my brother versus my best friend. And you create rivalries that way. Where if I beat him by only a couple points last time, he's gonna really want to beat me this time. And in that way, it's perfect. It's that show is. It's totally encapsulates what it is to be in a fantasy football culture.
Fantasy football. You know what? I will say, I guess a good experience is the camaraderie I get with my friends. 'Cause I do it with a group of our friends I grew up with. And so we've been doing this for the past, probably 10 years now. 12 years. Yeah. So we just get together. It's just me and the homies. We just get together. It's just always good. It's draft day. My friend, he comes through with the commissioner suit on, and he plays the commissioner role and everything. So it's just good. It's lots of beer, lots of food. I'm just catching up with old friends. A lot of us are busy. I'm not a traditional student. I'm an older student. I'm 28. So a lot of my friends are married, have kids, so we don't really see each other like that. So it's just good just to see each other.
You guys know what fantasy football is?
No. It's like an app, right?
Fantasy football, top people that you want to be on your team, right?
It's like an online game. You can choose players with all their stats. Your stats give you points, and then whoever has the most points and then wins the game.
Fantasy football.
It's something, I think I know it is, something that guys do. They like play in like a league together or something.
And they get points.
Yeah, points. They,
by the players.
By the players, yeah. They get to pick their own players.
Yeah.
I've heard of it, and I understand you put teams together based on real teams, and you play from results based on real games and on the internet, and that's about all I know. I've never done it.
Fantasy
fantasy football is a made-up league, or like with players that are real, but like you have your own team of players from different teams.